Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech with Sanurag. I hope you are doing great and enjoying this SAP UI5 full course. In our previous video, we spent some time understanding the foundation of SAP UI5. We learned about the architecture, the MVC pattern, request flow, and even the application lifecycle. Hey, if you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend checking it out first because today's session is directly built on those concepts. Now, enough theory. Today, we are finally going to start setting up our development environment. And trust me, once the setup is complete, from the next video onward, we will start building actual SAP application together. And that's where the real fun begins. So let's get started. Before we jump into the practical session, let's quickly see where we are in this learning journey. We already completed the roadmap where we discussed what to learn and in what order. Then we understood the architecture and the concept behind SAP UI5. And today we are taking the next important step, setting up our complete development environment. Once this is ready, creating the application becomes much easier and we won't have to worry about any setup again. Our entire focus can shift to learning SAP UI5 development. So here's what we will be doing in today's video. We will start by creating our free SAP trial account. Then I'll give you the quick tour of SAP BTP so you know what we are looking at instead of randomly clicking buttons and checking the stuff. We'll also briefly discuss the services that are important for SAP UI5 development. Not much theory, just enough to understand why they exist. And finally, we will open our Business Application Studio and create our SAP Fiori dev space. By the end of this session, your entire development environment will be ready. And now that we know exactly what we are going to accomplish today, so let's begin. Now, let's open SAP BTP Trial website. Before proceeding, let me answer one of the common questions I received. Sanurag, do I need to purchase SAP software to learn SAP FA? The answer is absolutely not. SAP provides a free trial account specifically for learning and experimenting. And honestly, for this entire course, the trial account is more than enough. We will create project, run the application, deploy application, and explore different SAP BTP service, all using this free environment.
Let's click on try now. Since I already have my Google account ready, I will continue using Google itself. Click on continue. You can also register using your business email if you prefer, or you use existing Gmail account. Since this contains personal information, I will fast forward this section. Just complete the required field, accept the terms and continue.
Alright, we are finally inside SAP BTP. I want to spend few minutes understanding this screen because once you understand how SAP BTP is organized, everything else becomes much easier. So don't worry, we will only understand the things that we actually use throughout this course. So let's start with the most basic question. You might be wondering, what exactly is SAP BTP? In simple words, SAP BTP is SAP's cloud platform. Think of it as a place where can build application, extend existing SAP solution, integrate different systems, automate business processes, and manages database, and even work with the AI services. Sounds like a lot, and honestly, it is. That's why SAP BTP is used by the different types of developer. For example, SAP UI5 developer mainly uses Business Application Studio and UI technologies. CAP developer builds backend services. An integration developer works with API and third-party system. The platform is same, okay? Only the service change depends on your role. And for this course, we will only focus on the services required for SAP UI5 development. Now, let me explain the architecture using real-life example. Imagine a large apartment building, and the entire apartment building belongs to one family. Inside that building, there are multiple apartments. Each apartment has different rooms. Inside each room, people use different appliances like Wi-Fi, television, refrigerator, washing machine, and so on. SAP BTP works in a very similar manner. So let's relate each part. Let's go to our trial account first. The first thing you will notice something called global account. Think of the global account as an apartment building, which is an entire apartment building, okay? And it is the highest level in SAP BTP. Everything you create, every project, every apartment, every services lives under the global account. Since we are using a trial account, SAP has already created global account for us. So we don't have to worry about creating new one. Now, let's go inside global account. You will notice something called sub account. Remember our apartment example? If the global account is the building, then sub account is one apartment. Every apartment is independent. Similarly, every sub account is an isolated workspace. For example, a company might have one sub account for development, one for testing, another for quality assurance, and one for the production. Each environment remains completely separate. That means if something breaks in the development system, the production environment remains completely safe. That's one of the biggest advantage of organizing projects using sub-account. For us, we will use trial account that SAP has already created. Now, let's go one step further. Inside the sub-account, you will notice something called Cloud Foundry here. This term sounds complicated, but it's actually very simple. Cloud Foundry is a runtime. A runtime is simply a place where our applications execute. Okay, think of a writing a movie script. Writing a script is one thing, but where is the movie actually shown? In the theater. Similarly, we write our application inside the Business Application Studio. Correct. But they need to run somewhere. Cloud Foundry provides that runtime environment. Whenever we deploy our application, which we will be doing later in the course, Cloud Foundry is the one responsible for running it. Without a runtime, application cannot execute. So remember this. Business Application Studio is where we develop and Cloud Foundry is where our application run. That's the easy way to remember the difference. Now, inside Cloud Foundry, you will notice something called space. For the trial account, SAP create most of this automatically. So don't worry too much. But let's understand the concept. Imagine your apartment again. Okay. The apartment has different rooms, maybe one living room, one study room, and each room serves different purpose. Similarly, a space is simply a logical area inside Cloud Foundry where applications are deployed. Example, large company creates separate space for different teams. This allows multiple teams to work independently without affecting each other. Since we are learning, one space is more than enough. Okay, so don't overthink this concept. Now, let's move to one of the most important section, services. Think of services like appliances inside your apartment. When you move into the new home, you don't automatically have everything. You install Wi-Fi, television, air conditioner, refrigerator. Each appliance provides different capability. SAP BTP works the exactly same. Whenever your application needs specific capability, you simply use corresponding service. For example, Business Application Studio provides development environment. Okay. Destination service has connect application with the package system. Then we have XUA manages the authentication and authorization. Another thing is HTML5 application repository, which stores the deployed UI5 application. Each service solves specific problems. And the nice thing is you only use service you actually need. Now, you will notice something called service marketplace. Think of it as a app store. When you open Google Play Store or Apple App Store, you see thousands of applications available for installation. Similarly, the SAP Marketplace display all the SAP service available in your sub account. It doesn't mean you are using all of them. They are simply available. Whenever you need one, you can enable it. You will also find something called subscription. A lot of beginners think service marketplace and subscription are the same. They are actually different. Think of your smartphone. Okay, the Play Store contains all available apps, but until you installed WhatsApp, you can't use it. Installing WhatsApp is like a creating a subscription. Similarly, Business Application Studio is available in SAP BTP. When you subscribe to it, you are making it available inside your sub account. Without subscription, you cannot launch the application. So remember, Marketplace shows what's available. Subscription makes it available for your use. Okay. Now, coming to the SAP Business Application Studio. Some of you who worked on older SAP projects might be wondering, what about SAP Web ID? Good question. Earlier, SAP recommends a Web ID for UI5 development, but over the time, applications become larger, development becomes more complex, and developer needs more flexibility. Okay, so that's why SAP introduced Business Application Studio. Think of SAP BAS as next generation of Web ID. It is based on the Visual Studio Code, okay, and is now SAP's recommended development environment. So let's click on this one. So whenever first time you open the SAP BAS, it may take a few seconds. Don't worry. If your screen little takes longer, that's okay. Perfect. This is Business Application Studio. Now you might be wondering the what is dev space. So if you see here, a dev space is a pre-configured private environment where you can deploy, develop, build, and run using some pre-installed runtimes and tools. And based on our development scenarios, we can create a dev space. Okay, so let's start the process. Yeah, I will be giving SAP Learning Lab. Okay, now you see there is a naming convention as well for dev space. The name must start with a letter or a number and may contain any alphanumeric characters or underscore. Special characters can't be used. Like instead of underscore, if I'm giving, say, it is not allowing. So let's give the, and we will be using the SAP Fiori for our SAP UI5 current course. And let's create the dev space. Now, you will notice the status is changing to the starting. The first time usually takes anywhere between 2 or 3 minutes, or sometimes even little longer, because SAP is preparing our workspace in the background. It is downloading all the required extension, configuring the environment. So waiting time is completely normal. But yeah, you only experience this during the first creation. After that, starting an existing dev space is much faster. Okay, so let's, yeah, great. The status now changed to running. Let's click on our dev space. and welcome. This is where we will spend most of our time throughout this course. Okay, so let's quickly understand the interface. On the left, you will see the Explorer. This is where all your SAP UI5 projects will appear. Whenever we create new application, you will find its folder and files here. Think of it like Windows File Explorer. Below that, you will find search. As your projects become larger, searching manually becomes difficult. Instead, you can instantly search for files, classes, or text from here. Very useful in real projects. Next is source control. This integrates directly with the Git. We will use it later to commit changes, track the version, and push the code to GitHub. Then we have run and debug. Whenever we need to run or debug the application, we will use this section. And here comes the extension. Here you can install additional tools whenever required. But the good news is SAP Fiori Devspace already comes with most of the extension you will need. You see this one. So we rarely have to install anything manually. Great. Our development environment is now completely ready. We understand SAP BTP, we understood the Business Application Studio, we created our first SAP Fiori dev space, and we even know our way around for the SAP pass. Now comes the exciting part. In the next video, we will create our very first SAP UI5 application. This is where you will finally start writing the code. We will see the SAP Fiori tools to generate the UI5 project. Then we will understand the project structure. We will see what each folder is used for and run the application for the first time and understand how SAP UI5 project is organized. By the end of the next video, you will have your first working UI5 application running successfully inside SAP Business Application Studio. So make sure your development environment is ready before moving ahead. Okay, thank you. Thank you for watching this video and take care. Keep learning. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding and happy learning.